Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant. I'm your host, James Harris. In this episode, I have my fellow Spinner Rack bro, Heath, with me. And Heath, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me back.
Good, good, good. This episode, we're going to be talking about something a little bit different, something you guys have requested from me for a while that I've been finally working on, and we decided to come together and talk about it. And this is which comic book online subscription service works best for you. So we're going to go over, I guess, what the top three that are out there and talk about them. So Heath, let's just kind of jump in. Which ones are you subscribed to currently?
So, Marvel Unlimited, DC DC Universe Infinite. I'm gonna pull it up. These names, man. That's
Yeah,
right. Is it? Yeah.
rebranded that. Yeah, they rebranded it. Yep.
Because on the app it just says Infinite. So Marvel, DC Universe Infinite, and Comixology. Those are my three.
Right, and those are the three real, main ones. Now, for the purposes of doing this conversation, my primary one. If you've been a long time viewer of the channel here on YouTube, know that I primarily use Comixology Unlimited. I was a part of DC Universe before they rebranded to DC Universe Infinite. I'm about to say Unlimited, but Infinite, and then Marvel Unlimited. For the purpose of the conversation, I was subscribed to all three. But since then, I've canceled the other two, and I'm just sticking to the one I'm most comfortable with. But I do have other points that I'll talk about during the course of the video. What led me to that? But so you're enrolled in all three. Is it one that you favor over another, or do you value them all equally across the board? Because they all have their little, you know, goods and bads, just with anything. But
Yeah.
is it one that you prefer over another?
There is, and it's crazy because my opinion has changed over time. I did a video at Serial at Midnight at like 2018, I think is when it was, and I was talking about streaming comics, and I was really grumpy against. I had not done DC. I don't know that a DC existed at the time. Maybe it did, but it was part of that 2018. I don't even know that it was a thing
2021.
yet.
It might have been 2019 when DC Universe started. I think it hasn't been a thing for too long, so it was just a
Yeah.
year off. Yeah.
So I was comparing Marvel Unlimited to Comixology, and I did not like that Comixology. To read them, you basically have to download them to your device. Like as soon as you hit read, it starts downloading to your device, and I did not like that. And I'm looking back, and I'm like, why did I not like that? Because it's giving you a flawless reading experience because it's loading everything ahead of time. So now Marvel has the library. They have the biggest library, and that's
Yeah.
great. But in DC, I noticed a lot of, for me, I noticed a lot of stuttering when almost every single experience when I'm reading something on the DC app, and we got good Wi-Fi. Like it's high speed in our wireless router. Like I can go like way down the street and I'm still connected to the Wi-Fi. So I don't know why, but I'll be reading, like I'll go to the next page and it's not ready yet. And it'll take like 30 seconds to get to so now when I'm reading DC, I go to the next page. When I get to that next page, I immediately pull a little bit so it starts to load the next one. That's not a good experience. That's not a good reading experience. So here it is. I find myself.
I thought that was just me. I noticed something similar. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I thought it was
Yeah.
just me with that, where when I would click them for it to go to the next page, it would kind of flash white, and then it would then populate. It was like, and it was weird. Like, well, maybe it's me, like, because I'm like you. I have super fast internet routers. My router is right here in this office, so I was like, it's no way. And I live in an apartment. I
Yeah.
don't even got a house. It's like, it's like the speed is not an issue. It's maybe it's me. I'm thinking it's the app, but because I think in previous videos I was kind of like you. I was kind of grumpy on different services and the overall experience. So I was trying to be better about giving what I felt like, and I had heard from viewers in the comments that I seemed kind of derogatory to other services because I just favored Comixology. So I wanted to give the other two services a fair shake. And I subscribed to both for 2 full months to really give them a fair shake so I can have a more better assessment of them. But that was something I noticed, and I just was like, maybe it's a me thing. So hearing you say that was like, okay, it's a thing within. Okay, so that's I guess comforting to know that it wasn't just a me thing. That it's something they need to improve on for sure.
I
For
think
the for
it's
DC.
only loading like 2 or 3 pages at a time versus Marvel, which I think loads the whole book because, it's I don't really have that every now and then with Marvel, I'll have a slow page, but most of the time, not. And I can go to the like, sometimes when I pick back up at okay, so I was reading a Spider-Man issue, and I had finished the issue one night, and it'll be like, read the next one, and it pops up the little screen so you can just tap to read the next issue. I hadn't tapped the read the next one that night, so the next night I'm reading and I pull it back up and it has to go back to that last page and it gets there in like 5 seconds. So it's loading all that in about 5 seconds. But DC, I mean, sometimes I get so frustrated with it, I just put it down. I'm like, I'm just not going to read this now because I can't load it. So Comixology has become my favorite, which is it was my least favorite, and now it's my most favorite now because they just download the whole book. And then if you've got the Comixology, what's the subscription? I can't remember the name of the subscription.
Comixology Unlimited.
Yes. If they have a ton of like I think all of Invincible is part of Comixology Unlimited right now, and
Yeah,
then the sales and stuff. And
yeah,
see, I'm a physical reader converting to digital, and you've been a big help with that. But my fear was that I would buy things and then they would go away. But you pretty much reassured me that you haven't really lost anything. I know some people have lost some stuff, but I'm not really living in fear of losing. Like we were talking offline, like this Green Arrow sale that's happening right now. It's like $1.69 per trade. And I'm like,
yeah.
I'm buying them. I bought like all 9 volumes of the Mike Grell stuff, and I was like, hopefully these don't go away one day. But I mean, if they do, I paid $1.69 a trade. So
Right. And that's kind of how you have to look at it because anything, and you've talked about this in videos you covered on your channel as well about that, how certain things when brand deals with music within shows and they have to go back and strip that stuff so it can be altered and changed in some way. And I've heard some people say they lost stuff, but it was what I had heard recently was with the whole Fox Disney thing and books that were printed by Dark Horse with aliens because now Marvel has it and now they're doing it. The Dark Horse stuff got pulled from their Comixology collection, and it's a rights thing. So that's tricky. You can't foresee it. But I've been on Comixology. I don't know when Comixology started as a company, but the first books I got on Comixology was when the first iPad came out. I had the very first iPad. And I think I was using Comixology even before that, back when it was before the iPhone, when they had the what was it called, the iPods with video. Like that's how long I dabbled with digital comics. Not seriously because I was still primarily physical comics, but I transitioned. And I still have stuff that I know I bought way back when the first iPad came out to this day in my collection, and I've never lost it. So I feel pretty confident, in being on the platform. I don't know how long I've lost track how long iPads have been out. You know what I mean? And even before that I still have stuff in my collection going that far back and haven't little to none to the part where if it's been some, it's been so small and negligible. But mind you, at this point, I got like I don't know, like 3,500 comics that have been growing in my Comixology collection. So it would I would have to really be granular to say I lost this book here, but like I said, it's nothing noticeable if it's been any shrinkage, as we like to say in the collecting circles. But yeah, it's been interesting for me because I think I feel out of the three services, I feel like DC DC Universe Infinite. Got to make sure I say it right. Um, I feel like it's probably the most underrated out of the three because really the standard bearer is Marvel Unlimited because that's been around the longest. Um, it's they still I feel like it's still quirkiness with navigation. Um, but the library, like you said, they have the biggest library of the most some of the most notable characters because it's the Marvel universe. Um, and the price point, the price point because when we talk about these different services, we have Comixology that clocks in about $5.99 a month before tax. DC Universe Unlimited about $7.99 a month before tax, and then Marvel Unlimited is $9.99. But I mean, I think every all of them have yearly options except for Comixology, where you just pay month to month. And you get discounts, of course, if you pay for the year. So I feel like they're all reasonable by far. I think the one most eye-opening one for me that my opinion changed from before for me was DC Universe Infinite. I wasn't a huge fan of it before. I feel like it is out of the three the dark horse or the most underrated of the three. But like you said, it's not without caveats because like the loading, of the books are definitely that is a thing that is a problem because it can, like you said, at times you got frustrated and just put it down. But I feel like they made vast improvements from when it was DC Universe to being DC Universe Infinite now for sure. My favorite is still Comixology Unlimited. I think just with the bonuses of the sales and you get extra discounts on top of that being subscribed to to Comixology Unlimited. That comes in handy because, like you said, with those sales, 169, but that's because we're subscribed. We get an extra 25% off. So it's probably like 199 with the additional discount. We get it for 169. Those little things add up, especially when you're trying to get the most bang for your buck. It comes, it comes in handy. Marvel Unlimited is, like I said, I feel like I have more appreciation for it. Um, I think my biggest caveat, I want to know what your thoughts are on this, with DC Universe Infinite and Marvel Unlimited. I don't like the fact that we don't have access to graphic novels. Whereas with Comixology, they give you the option if they you have option access to both. And I prefer that, especially if I'm reading longer stories. After a while, it gets tiring on the next issue, especially when you're getting in a rhythm reading to stop, start, stop, start. When I can just read it, and when I get to the end of the story, it's done. And it's a smoother experience, especially when you stop it and starting. Like you said, if it's just a trade and I'm just reading that full story, it just flows better. And I've gotten spoiled by it, kind of like with Netflix, where in the beginning, where it was just you could just binge, you don't have to get up and change out disc, like you would if you were physically watching it. It's kind of a similar thing. You get spoiled when you have trades on one service and you're reading bigger chunks of stories without having to stop and start. Then you go back to that. I feel like that's one thing I wish they improved because it's their books. You have them because they're digital on the other service. So it would just make sense to bring that in. Now, one thing you brought to my attention, I didn't know with DC Universe Infinite, is that they will have the story arcs and have them curated for you in reading order, which I think is awesome. And they should be commended for that. So at least they have that. And I think I saw Marvel does it kind of sort of, but their interface to me is still clunky. And I feel like if they're the standard bearer, it would be a little bit more user friendly than what it is. I think the apps are together, but sometimes too, I just pull it up and I want to read it on my computer, and I feel like that's where it's so convoluted. Just signing into Marvel Unlimited on their website is like,
Yeah.
am I really in there, or is it used to not be like that, but they've stripped it down even more, and it's like this incorporated into the bigger site as a whole, and it's convoluted. It's not user friendly at all, especially if you got new people coming to it. I think it would make someone throw their hands up in the air, being new to that experience if you haven't had it prior.
It's funny that you mentioned that because when I subscribed for Marvel Unlimited this last time, because I've been on and off for years now, this most recent time, it was like a whole night of trying to figure out if I had actually done it or not, because I went through there, they took the money, I checked the bank and like, oh, there it is, a debit, but I could not log in on my device. And I was just like, what is going on? And then I don't even remember what happened. I don't even remember how I solved the problem, but it was like a really big, like I subscribed to Marvel Unlimited, but I don't have Marvel Unlimited on my device. Why can't I could read them on the website, but it was not transferring. I think part of it's because you go through like iTunes, like there's something with iTunes that's involved, or
Mm-hmm.
like if you're on an iPad or whatever. I was just like, man, this is so complicated. Um, to go back to what you were saying about, I don't mind. I don't know. I'm of two minds. I could argue it either way, but I like the single issues. When I'm reading a long story, I like the idea of like, and that one's done, and let me start on it. I like having that natural break. But at the same time, I did buy on Comixology. I bought the Lone Ranger omnibus, the Dynamite uh,
Yeah.
omnibus of Lone Ranger. I've been wanting to collect, or I have some of them. I have like the first 5 issues in physical format, but I've been wanting to collect that run for a long time. I've been watching a lot of the complete run on eBay for like a year. Been thinking about buying the whole thing, and the Comixology has the whole omnibus for like $15, and it's such a, to your point, it's such a seamless experience because it's all downloaded there, and I get to the end of an issue, boom, immediately issue 4 ends, issue 5 is right there. I see the cover page and I just keep going. So I see the appeal. I wonder if it would be confusing to people if they had trades on the Marvel and DC service as well as the single issues, if the casual reader would be able to navigate that without being confused.
That's true, and that's true, and I think too it goes to a point to where you said you're more familiar with Marvel because you've been on and off of it for years, and for me, I've been pretty much since Unlimited started their subscription portion of their service. I've pretty much had it for now 3 or 4 years, so it's just a seamless kind of. I'm so used to it. So, and I've been on and off Marvel Unlimited a handful of times over the years. Like I said, just in the rebranding, I was a yearly subscriber to DC Universe, and then they canceled the yearly subscriptions. Then they announced the rebranding, and you had to. It didn't just convert over. You had to like it canceled out one. You had to re-sign up for the other, kind of thing. And I was just like, I don't know if it's worth it. And and I guess to round this out, to in closing, to help people kind of decide which one would be best for you. Like you said, your favorite of the three is Comixology Unlimited. Mine is Comixology Unlimited, but it's value in the other two as well because you're still subscribed to them. For me, it wasn't worth it to me to keep them, but I don't because I with everything I do as a content creator and everything I cover, I don't know if it would be the value proposition would be worth it to be subscribed to all three. Plus the saving grace with Comixology, they get parts of the other two libraries incorporated into their service. Though you don't get them as quickly, you still get portions of their library that you can check books out as far as the subscription service. You have so many borrows you get. That you can borrow things from the different libraries. So that's sufficient for me because I don't think I would use the two enough to warrant paying that price. But if you're someone like yourself that was reading physical and making that conversion, it's a heck of a lot cheaper to pay for these three services than to even buy 3 or 4 books a month. Just because I had a recent experience when I was on the road traveling that I went to an old comic shop that I used to go to. I legit bought 3 books and spent almost $30, I think, or 20 some dollars. I bought. Hold on, I got them right here. Hold on. I bought 3 books, y'all. 3 comics. I spent almost $30. It's crazy. What's this? $4.99, $5.99, $4.99, and with tax. So yeah, it was like $20, if that's right.
So
Too much money.
one of those books is the cost of Comixology Unlimited.
It basically. So those 3 books pretty much would be come close to, if just a couple of dollars more, would cover these 3 services. So if you're looking for the value proposition, you could probably save a ton of money to subscribe to these 3 services and read your comics. I guess the only caveat is they do say they all have this disclaimer that most of the time the books that are coming out to print are what, about 6 months behind.
I think
But
it's
I
3
see,
now.
yeah, and it's different caveats with that because I noticed Marvel said it and they haven't updated it, but I've seen stuff come sooner on there, and I've seen them put stuff out on Comixology sooner and as their unlimited service that you can get sooner than later, I guess, to entice people into their books. So I've seen stuff as soon as 3 months beyond Comixology Unlimited under the Marvel section that I could check out and read that just came out a few months before, and it's not six. So those windows are even shrinking.
Mhm.
So I mean, so if you don't have to read everything right when it hits the newsstand, I don't think it's a bad proposition signing up for the three because you can get your Marvel, you get your DC, and your Comixology is kind of your catch-all because then they also have a lot of the independent publishers that you can check out books with that Comixology Unlimited. They have a little banner to let you know where you can borrow. They have a limit of 50 borrows that you can do. So that's a lot. And as soon as you check one in, you can fill that right back up. You can borrow something else right back out. So um, yeah, I think that's a good catch-all. So those three would pretty much give you the wide gambit of anything you would want to read, comics-wise. But I guess, like I said, if you base it on uh, the most user-friendly and most inexpensive, is Comixology Unlimited. So I would say for anyone, if you're not a diehard Marvel or DC fan, um, that's a good catch-all starter service to start with, and then you can expand out. But if you're looking to transition, I guess my recommendation would be all three. I mean, especially what you're used to paying for physical comics, you're going to save a lot of money either way. So I don't think you could go wrong with one or all. That is one of the ones we talked about. How about for you, Heath?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think I'm happy to have all three. For me, Comixology, if I was only using Comixology Unlimited, I don't know if I'd be very satisfied because not everything's included with that. Sometimes it's just the first one or two of a trade. And we're talking about Invincible. That's I think it's the whole run. But the whole I marketing wise, the idea behind Comixology Unlimited is to get you hooked, and then you start having to buy the content. But if you're okay buying the content, the it's an incredible value because you're getting such. I mean, it's I don't know that I would spend. I I can okay. I would not spend new comics cost on a digital comic. I'm not going to pay $4 or $5 for one new digital comic. And I feel like
Right,
they have trained us not to do that anyway. Because if you like we were talking about, I mean, Green Arrow trades. I mean, it was like the 75th anniversary celebration. That's like 401 pages or something for $1.69 for Comics Unlimited, Comixology Unlimited subscribers. They've told us, they've trained us, like just wait, shop the sales, and then you have this in your library forever. So I think that's the strength of Comixology. If you want more current if you want access to a more current library, then Marvel Unlimited and the DC Infinite Universe, I mean, the libraries are huge,
they are.
and there's so much coming out. As we talked about in a previous video, there's so much comic material coming out. I think those services are really I mean, you just said, $10, $8, and you have access to as many books as you can read. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think all three is a good proposition.
Yeah, and I think it's a low entry point because, like I said, the comic prices are just going up and up. So, like I said, if you can't afford, because we know everyone's budget is totally different. But if you're buying physical comics and you're buying more than four a month, I literally showed you
Yeah.
I had three, and it pretty much covered the three services. So if you buy three or more comics a month, you can subscribe to these three services and have access to thousands of because I think the libraries they tout about 25,000 each. And
Yep.
then, I mean, Comixology is probably they're growing. And even to answer, because what you said is a very valid point. And since I've been on Comixology so long, here's the thing: it starts off with one or two, but they grow. So, like Invincible, it used to not be the whole series, but since that series ended, now you can. Same thing with Walking Dead. Walking Dead, pretty much the whole series is available on there